A Platonic take on To Kill a Mockingbird. Athens, democracy's cradle, a prominent culturalized city, the heart of Western culture. There, the world's first and truest philosopher lived. Born in a wealthy family, Plato began his quest in philosophy by studying under Socrates and writing down his examinations upon life. It is in these books, the Symposium, the Republic, the Meno, and others, that Plato strives to comprehend a state of consciousness he called eudaimonia. According to the dictionary, eudaimonia is a contented state of being happy, healthy, and prosperous. It is this state of flourishing in life, of living a beautiful life, that is eudaimonia. Plato studied various components that added up to living in this state. They consisted of empathy, reforming the way society thinks and its overall structure, thinking individually, not following popular opinion, and the all-well-too-known allegory of the cave. Now, enter the imaginary town of Macon, Alabama, in the middle of the American Great Depression. It is in this place that the novel To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee takes place. Now, I'll direct you to my friend John Green at Crash Course to show you the basic plot of the book.
Let's look at the plot in the thought bubble. So Scout, Jem, and Dill spend 2 summers sipping lemonade and cultivating fantasies about their mysterious homebound neighbor, Boo Radley, and daring one another to touch his door. The children act out events from Boo's life, and although Boo remains hidden, his chewing gum does not. This gum, along with other gifts, appears in a tree outside the Radley house. Meanwhile, Scout learns that her father, Atticus, has been appointed to defend Tom Robinson, a black man with a deformed left arm, wrongly accused of raping Mayella Ewell, a friendless white 19-year-old who lives behind a garbage dump. Mayella lives with a gaggle of filthy and uneducated siblings and an often drunk father who beats and possibly molests her. Despite Tom's obvious innocence, Mayella was hit on the right side of her face by a man without a left arm. The white population of Macon resents Atticus for being his court-appointed public defender. With the help of Jem and Scout, Atticus dissuades a mob from lynching Tom. Atticus is less successful, however, at swaying the jury. Tom is declared guilty, he escapes from prison, and then is shot and killed. Bob Ewell, the father of Mayella, is miffed at being ridiculed by Atticus in court. After spitting at Atticus, Ewell attacks his children. Boo Radley comes to the rescue and makes good on his history of stabbing people, and the children are safe.
With all that behind, we will begin to look at the basic concept Plato proved is a consciousness advocacy for empathy. In the book, we hear Atticus say, "You never really understand a person until you consider things from his point of view, until you climb into his skin and walk around in it." This goes in line for Plato himself. He says, "Be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a harder battle." This really goes to getting on someone else's shoes, and overall is all that Atticus wants Scouts to learn. It is this act of empathy that truly drives Atticus into lawyering for people such as Tom or the Cunninghams for the pure act of doing a service with no monetary incentive, a purely moral one. Which is in a way what Plato discusses, what human excellence, or eudaimonia, dives into. Atticus also uses this when a feeling of contempt or hatred is usually felt towards someone. Just as he says, "Jem, see if you can stand in Bobby Ewell's shoes for a minute. I destroyed his last shred of credibility at that trial, if he had any to begin with. So, if spitting in my face and threatening me to save Mayella one extra beating, that's something I'd gladly take. He had to take it out on somebody, and I'd rather it be me than that houseful full of children out there." It is such a way that Atticus shows his children what ought to be done. I think that's what makes Atticus such a beloved American fatherly figure. It's his selflessness and understanding towards others that compels you to be on his side. Another important concept is the way society is formed. At first sight, you can see the educational order, or should I say disorder, around Macon, as completely irrational, just as seen in the quoted stated by Scout's teacher. "Now tell your father not to teach you anymore. It's best to begin reading with a fresh mind. You tell him I'll take over from here and try to undo the damage." This goes completely against Plato's school of thought. Plato is actually the founder of schooling in general, and his form was less organized, but that enabled the classes to be more open and less gender or age-related. But this is still quite unsettling, that even though a child is years advanced to their respective classmates, they are still taught the exact same thing. This is where the need to reorder the formation of society begins. Another important part of the book, where there is clearly a misjustice, is that at the pinnacle of the trial, when Tom is convicted, when Mayla was hit in the right eye, and Tom doesn't even have that sided arm in order to hit her. He's still, nonetheless, convicted. This goes to the corruption of society, even at a time when Negroes under law were equal to whites. This also shows the flaws and biases that rule over the judicial system during the Southern Depression time. Overall, the wholeness of society is corrupted under its organization, its conservatism, and its pure secludedness from what Plato described as the allegory of the cave. It is in a general cave where prisoners are chained for a lifetime and identify things such as shadows as normal life. And when one of the prisoners is mysteriously let free, he sees the real world with awe and goes back to tell others about his astonishing discovery, only to be scoffed by the ignorant prisoners. It is at least how I interpret this and think of Atticus as the escaping prisoner. Most people of Macomb feel safe and are extremely conservative towards their biases and beliefs, which is why they repudiate most of what Atticus says and does. Predominantly, Plato does this very well in depicting this with a simple yet elusive allegory. The allegory leads us to our next point, thinking for oneself and not like society as a whole. Plato, in the Discourses, uses a term he called doxa. Doxa consists of following the popular opinion. Plato openly warned not to follow doxa blindly. Although there is a certain truth towards doxa, one must not follow it blindly without proper examination first. It is thoroughly portrayed when Scout criticizes the Southern femininity and is often seen wearing men's clothes. This is a public critique for the beauty standards that are expected of the females of Macomb society. It is how Scout goes against the doxa, in this case, being these absurd expectations, and through this, carves out her own path by wearing what she believes is right. Ultimately, what's useful for her? It is this, what Atticus intends to instill into Scout and Jem, and make them better and be able to make society better while learning. Just like what happened when Jem was sentenced to 1 month of reading to an old lying woman. Principally, doxa could possibly be a good thing. Nonetheless, one must always analyze and scrutinize all that does not match to one's standards, and in such way, one betters oneself. There is a certain part onto which Plato would be against this particular teaching Calpurnia gives to Scout. She says, "Now, what if I talked white folks talk at church with my neighbors? They'd think I was putting on airs to beat Moses." Calpurnia is, in a way, faking her verbal abilities in order to conform with society. And it is indeed what Plato detests. Still, she was merely translating ideas from the whites towards the blacks in the differences of language usage. For just as she explains how if she talked like a white, she would be walked all over upon and never even heard. This is indeed faking or living a lie for a nobler cause, is what Plato pleads in his concept of a noble lie in order to maintain peace and order throughout the realm. Many may say Plato was overall against public critique of problems. He implores to act upon them, rather than only discuss and complain. This book itself is a great critique for the problems at the time, and it came from someone, the author in such case, that actually lived through these. But the book itself did see change, for it became one of America's most beloved novels and a public sensation, and paved the way for an American free of biases, inhibiting a sense of reflection upon the inhabitants and descendants of these so-called wrongdoers. In conclusion, Plato strongly agreed with the overall hidden or obvious themes and lessons throughout To Kill a Mockingbird. Through the demonstration of empathy, individuality, and a reform in society, Harper Lee truly shows her philosophy in To Kill a Mockingbird. Now, since Plato insists of listeners actually interpreting things in their own way, I'll leave you with the most famous quote. Upon this book is titled, "Mockingbirds don't do one thing but make music for us to enjoy. They don't eat up people's gardens, don't nest in corn cribs, they don't do one thing but sing their hearts out for us. That's why it's a sin to kill a mockingbird." Who do you believe is a true mockingbird of these novels? Is it Tom Robinson? The wrongfully convicted black man? Is it maybe Atticus, set aside by society's conservatism? Or is it the main character, Scout, by her naiveness and her drive to truly understand things which are out of her control and ultimately endangers her? I'll leave that to you. And if you have not read To Kill a Mockingbird, I highly recommend it. Thank you for your time.